Hey everyone, welcome back. If you've stuck with me so far going through this process of being able to make the axe, thank you, well done. Just because I know it takes a little time to get moving and to get a clear understanding of what it is and how we do what we do. So today will be much quicker. Today is a little bit different. Today is taking the drawing to the surfacing to the assembly. Then once to the assembly, we can then start to look at creating this as a piece and how this would be physically assembled. But we've done all the hard work. The sketching was the biggest pain in the backside. Then the modelling was just understanding about where everything sits. Now let's have a little bit more fun. But what I need to do first is I need to set up the more important thing, which is the desktop. So what I'm going to do in this case is I'm first going to create a working folder. Now I always do this personally just because this can get really messy otherwise. So I'm just going to call this Tomb Raider Axe. You'll see why in a moment. Oh, that nearly went wrong. Raider Axe. And now within here I'm going to create myself a little bit of an organized process. So first things first, I'm going to right click and go insert, and I'm just going to call this main surface, or this could be main body or design. Then we'll call this as build, just for assembly build. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to open up my axe. Now this is what we've done so far, so I'm just going to go and I'm going to use my recents. I think the last thing I opened was the axe. So let's open up where we were last. Now the only thing I have done is I was playing a little bit more with rendering, so it's just to make it look a little bit more pretty. Wait for it. Any minute now. Right, so what I would like to do is I'm going to emigrate this and put this into the file system that I've already got. So I'm going to export a copy onto this. Let's just have a little bit of a reminder where we were. Looking good, looking good. So I'm going to go to folder and I'm going to go save as, and I'm going to save myself a copy in this case. I'm taking it out of what I've got here. I'm going to go to where I've just had my desktop and onto here, and I'm going to stick it in here and save. And I know there is a pack up and go process with this, so what I like to do is just shut all that down and reopen that from the new navigated area, which is where it's been saved, but it's just to be sure. So this is now opening, and we now know that this is the single surface piece. This is actually a single, if you will, assembly, this is actually a single part. But I now need to break this into pieces. Now if you remember, as a quick reminder, we did this. We're already in bits, so we're looking pretty good. So let's just go back to a new, and I'm going to go part. And all I need to do now is break it into pieces when a new part opens. There we go. So I'm going to go SolidWorks, I'm going to go insert, I'm going to go part. And what I'm actually doing is I'm placing a part in a part. And the reason I do this is because then I've got like layers of what's acceptable and what's not. It allows me to dedicate key things. Now, obviously, it strips everything back to its origins. So what I would like to do first is go back. Come on, this software sometimes really good sometimes, but then it just has its moments. So I'll go insert, I'll go features, and I'm going to go to delete. Within my delete bodies, I'm on delete bodies. I'm going to get rid of you. In fact, no, we'll go from the top. So I'm going to get rid of the grip, the handle, and the spiky pointy bit, and click OK. So now I'm simply going to go File, Save. This time I'm navigating my way out, and I'm coming into the assembly, and I'm going to call this blade. I think we called it blade anyway. Let's call this blade, and I'm simply going to close that and start again. And what I can do by doing this is I can break that into pieces. It's such a useful tool. Some know it as a methodology called base parting, which if you've done another one of my tutorials, you'll know that that is something that we've covered. I just thought using the same technique here was quite cool, so you can see another example of this being used. So click onto there, and this is now the grip or the stem, whatever we want to call it. I forgot what we actually called it, so I'll just call this stem. And I'm going to close that out, and I'm going to do the same thing again. Go part, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to go insert part, coming from the axe, and again I'm just going to my features, insert onto features, and I'm going to delete body, you,
music
and you.
licensing reimagined.
Come on, there we go. So there's his handle. I think I've just noticed something that we might need to do some modifications to. I forgot to put the hole in, but we'll see. So let's do save as, call this grip or handle or whatever you want to call it. I think that could be surface model a little better. This is just great for the example that we're doing, just to keep it nice and simple. Go new part, and then I'm going to go insert part into here, and I'm going to go file, insert features, delete. So you, and you. I'm bringing that back again. And we got a little spiky bit. I'm sure someone needs to find out what that's called. I actually don't know what that section of the thing is called. Can't keep calling it spiky bit. We'll just call it spike. And now we're in a good position. So I'm going to close all that out and close all that out. What I would like to do now is come back again and go for my assembly. And I'm going to now put this into position, and it allows me to see so much about the assembly. What's going to fit? Is there going to be problems? What's the issues going to be? How am I going to make things work? And what I'll do is select them all and click open. And then I'm just going to click OK.
Artlist.io.
And there we go. Oh, that went horribly wrong. What I'd like to do is I personally do this. You don't have to do this, but I do like to do this to give myself a bit of perspective as to where things are. So I actually like to create connections. So I'm going to do a mate onto the front plane, and I'm going to make this relevant to this particular point here. What this will now do is it will now bring it in line with that particular face, like that, and then click OK. And then from there, I'm going to go top face, and I'm just going to pick on something here that's flat, really. And then, well, that's the trouble. There's not much that's flat because we've done so much with it. So what I'll perhaps try and do then is I'll go from that face, and I'll see if I can use just that point as a connection, as a point to hold it in place, which in this case should be fine.
Music licensing.
And now it just gives me a rough place to sit. Now, when you're first operating with SolidWorks, I'm going to make sure that this thing is set to fix. So this is now in place. You'll notice the blade won't move. The reason that is because the blade came in first, but I'm going to set that to float. So let's get this all assembled.
Artlist.io.
I'm going to go here to here. And again, just to keep this in line, I'll go here to here. And then I'm going to bring that face
Music
to this face to be
reimagined.
consistent, concentric, sorry, and that is our first piece in place. So everything's in place there. Let's do it again. So I'm going to go mate, and what I would now like to do is use this as a face for this to be connected to. So let's do that. Oh, in fact, let me just swing down here just to check it. And you see there that it's now in line. Click OK. And I'm going to do the same thing again there, onto there. And then finally, oh, let me just check that because I say then finally. I just want to see if that's, oh, see there? That's, so that doesn't work. So what I'm going to do is we're going to bring that down. I'm going to mate onto this face here, and I'm also going to bring it round onto this face. There. Why not? Just bring it back, and then we see now if I check it, yeah, we're all good. We're all good. So that's now moving. I mean, that's now fixed. So last thing I need to do is I need to bring in the spiky bit. And this is a little bit of an issue, which we'll fix in a moment. I'm going to stick the spiky bit in here, like that. And then, now you see, this is pretty good. It will work, but I'm not 100% as happy as what I will be with the others, because I'm having to compromise a few bits here, which, I mean, it'll be fine, but it's never as happy as I'd like it to be. So I'll bring that up to there and then snap it into there. So let's now save this within the ass build. Axe ass. So the axe assembly is now complete. Spin it up. So the axe assembly is now complete. This is now a full assembly. If I control and tab, oh, have I closed? Oh, apologies, I've closed my axe. So if I now reopen my axe from our very well constructed build area, I'm now in a great position. This is really exciting. What I can now do, if need be, I can make modifications from inside of the single surface, and this will now upload directly across to here. Or if I just want to modify one thing, I can do it from in here. Now do keep in mind, this will not be backwards compatible. So in other words, if I do a hole here, this will not be true in the first piece. So if you can, always try and do your modifications from your top level. At least then you know that you're consistently moving all the way across. So that's what I'm going to try and do here. I'm probably going to try and do it from inside of the grip assembly itself. I'd like to just remind myself where we were at with this grip assembly. So if you look there, we've got that, and let me just turn this to transparent. You see how this hole is missing? So this hole I really do need, and rather than trying to overcomplicate things, I will probably just add it. So I'm just going to come up to here. I'm going to bring up to this to remove the spike out. And this is because I prefer everything to be consistent across. Turn on my master sketch because that's where it's all happening. Come onto the actual point itself, do a quick sketch, and I'm going to simply convert that entity. Come out of there, hide the original master, and now all I'm going to do is go surface. In fact, let's just turn it back on. I'm going to go surface. I'm going to go trim surface. I'm going to use a standard because I'm going to use the sketch. And now what I want to do is I want to trim that face, that face. Okay. I'd like to do now is bring this and shove it in here. Continue. Ah, now we've got some overlapping going on. It's not happy with something. So we need to come back to my 7. What was my 7? Oh, look at that. It appears
Music licensing reimagined.
there we go. That just a minor setback with it. So we've now got that built up. And what I now need to do is bring in the spike and see what complaints it arises. If it even in essence brings in complaints, who knows? You know what these systems are like. So right, so if I now hit save and now jump across to my actual assembly, it's now saying, whoa, something's changed. So just click OK, and then like magic, the hole appears. You see there? We've now got that hole that's sitting there like that. You can't look and go, ah, now that is a problem. And you're right, it is a problem. So how are we going to deal with it? We're going to go back. Right, so what we need to do is now look at how this has been constructed, how we did it. And if I just now bring the actual build right back on the process that we did, you'll see the internals here of how it was put together. What we got to do now is make sure that what we end up with is thickness to our piece. And what I mean by that is if I come back to click OK here and on the spike, I'm just going to hide the spike. You look here. See how we've got these faces here and here? We need these to go, yes? So what we'll do here is I'll come back to this. On the actual piece ourselves, onto the spike. I'm going to hide that for a moment. And then in here, what I can now do is instantly see what it is that I'm missing. So I'm just going to go sketch. I'm going to convert purely. Oh, I didn't want to do that. I'm just going to convert. Just take it from the edge. It's important to do this just because if we're going to get to a point where we want to keep everything consistent, if you lose something, you kind of go, oh, no, that's not going to work, and it's just an absolute nightmare. We don't want that. So I'm just going to try and shift that up my ladder a little bit. Yes. See if it's going to complain, and yes, it's going to complain. Yes, it's going to complain, which is just a real pain in the backside. So what do we need to do? So I need to come back here and I need to hit delete. I'm going to delete that out. We need this to remain consistent, or else it's just going to be painful. It's just going to be absolute pain in the backside, and we don't need that. So let's get back to this. Now you can see here what's happened is the issue that we're facing here is if I come back to the actual spike itself, the trim that's appearing from this actually appeared after. So this is combined in the spike. It is not combined in the handle. And it is a system that's on SolidWorks. It is something that SolidWorks does. Granted, very annoying. However, we just got to fix it. So I'll go planar. Let's see if planar will allow me to do this. Planar's nice and simple. Too simple sometimes. Didn't work. Okay, so let's go. I'm going to go loft. Q, new. And then we repeat that again. So flip it over. Yeah. It's now saying you can't do that without multiple faces. Yes, I can. Okay, so I'll bring that back in. Now, this is going to really fudge up our amazingly good organization process here, but it cannot be helped. So I'm just knitting these particular points together. I'm merging just these entities then I can remain with my spike, and I've also got my hand grip. So it was called grip. So now if I go back to here, and I'm just going to rename that again. So I just want to make sure that's called grip. Okay, so we are kind of back. This is left it all very unorganized. I don't like that, but at this point in time, I'll like to tidy that up later on, but I want to see if this is going to work first. So let's get back to this. Click OK, and 3, 2, 1. We've now got our key point onto it. So now click enable, and now what I've got is I have my spike, I have my axe, and this is now ready to be printed. It'll interface. It's going to need a little bit of TLCing to make sure everything fits right, but now I should be able to simply right click on the blade. So let's just open the blade up, and now I could do pretty much anything I want now. I could make this, I mean, it's a surface at the moment. I could convert this to a solid if I wished. Few ways I've seen of doing this, some really sneaky, exciting ways. A quick way of showing you how to do this is I can simply remove that face, and I can fill that face. Wait for it. I can fill the face up if I want, like that, or not. So I can do I can fill the face this way. Oh, that's awkward. That's just me missing the edge. I can close the loft. I'll merge the 10 faces, and then if I wanted to from here, I could go. I don't really need to do this because it will still, but I could go create solid. This is now a solid piece. If I was interested, I could take that into FEA and finite element analysis, and I could do my analysis from there. But now, yeah, I can simply go to save as, and I can output this part, and then I can go to my output on STL, which is sterile lithography file. Let me just find it. There it is. And within my STL now, I can choose. I personally don't use standard binary. I use ASCII. I find the resolution is far greater. There are multiple types of STL files. I personally use ASCII files. If you've never done that before, do put in the comments. More than happy to take you guys through it. It's not a hard thing to learn, but it is very cool and very easy to use with that. Okay, so I'm going to hit save. And that, look at this now. It's because everything's been updated. I'll just suppress that for a second. So that is the Tomb Raider axe. I have full intentions. In fact, I have already made this axe, and I'll give you a bit of a demonstration. Well, not demonstration. I'll show you my version of this axe in a short 5-minute video. But yes, that's the full axe. That's how I operate as far as surfacing goes. This has been an early version to get you all into the idea of how this works. I hope you guys have found this three-part build useful. If there is any questions, if you do have any ideas, or if you'd like to ask me about further things to do with this, please do ask in the comments. More than happy to help. Moving forwards, the next series that I'm working on is something which is a little bit more ASTM focused. We are looking at the Hardyman, and I'll introduce a bit more of a video in time, but this will introduce a big project which takes these techniques to a whole new level. Again, hope you've enjoyed this, guys, and I'll speak to you all soon.